Students are like stars to me. They come closer for some time and drift away. They are shining in every corner of the universe, but too scattered to find them. I noticed we don't have a gravitational force to keep us together. To create this GMBA gravity, I announced our new project, GMBA Universe. This is a GMBA alumni interview series which aims to increase the interaction among former, current, and future GMBA students.
My name is Tinus Potgieter, and I work as an online operations manager currently at Woolworths, which is a big retailer here in South Africa. And I think as the interview progresses, you'll get to know a little bit more about me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first edition of the GMBA Exchange podcast. We are very excited to welcome Everyday today to this first episode. And my name is Christina from the class of 2017, and I've been given the honor of hosting the first episode today. And today we have also invited a NYCU alumni from the class of 2010 with us to join as a guest speaker, and we're very excited, but you have to hold on a little bit longer for his introduction. I want to introduce two people to you. It is AJ and Benjamin. They are both from the class of 2024, and they're amazing students who are really some of the driving forces behind this podcast series. And today they are going to be conducting our interview, leading our conversation, if I may. And so they are going to take over now, and I'm just going to be here in the background if you guys need me. So AJ and Benjamin, go ahead.
AJ Xiang, and it's really an honor to be here with our professor, Christina, and also Benjamin. And I hope we have a really great conversation and really have a nice chat with you today. Thank you.
Yeah, Benjamin from Germany. I just can't agree. Thanks so much.
I think you guys have a lot of questions for the GMBA students, right?
Yes.
Let me start with the first question. When you considered and applied for the GMBA program, what was the future career path you envisioned for yourself?
Thank you for the question, AJ. So look, to be completely honest, when I was young and a student, I didn't know what I want to be when I grow up. I know some people, when they are born, they know exactly. They want to become a doctor or they want to become a teacher, and they do that. I had no idea. And then I asked my dad when I went to varsity if he has any suggestions. And then he said, business is always a good foundation. So then I studied undergraduate business, which I think was awesome. But then when I completed the bachelor's degree, I told my dad, I said, I'm still enjoying it so much, but what do I do now? And he was a school principal. And then he said, well, being a teacher is always a good backup plan. So study education. And then I studied post-grad education. And then I always knew that I wanted to put something on top of the business undergrad, either something creative like brand management or marketing, or ideally an MBA. But I never thought that I would be able to afford doing an MBA. So trying to keep the story short, but I was at the right time at the right place in Taiwan, and then I heard about the GMBA program. It was like an unbelievable opportunity for me to get into the GMBA program. And where most of the time people use an MBA, or they only do an MBA to put on top of work experience. After they've worked for a while in an industry, then they put an MBA on top of it. Whereas I actually used the MBA as a card to switch careers, because I was in education, and then I did the GMBA, and then I realized I want to get into corporate. So I think the honest answer is I had no clear idea of a career path, but I'm very thankful in terms of how it worked out in the end.
So that's interesting. Let me get that right. So you started out you took an undergrad in business in South Africa,
yes.
And then you
yes.
then moved on to teaching, and then came to Taiwan as a teacher. Is that correct?
Yes, as a teacher. I taught for a year and a half. I taught little ones in Hsinchu, and I loved it. And then I got into the MBA program.
is there anything that you found that was really hard in that transition from then teaching and have a fixed income and then going back to being a student?
That is a good question. And look, I think it wasn't that difficult. And I got married in the middle of the MBA. So I had a wife who could actually sponsor me in a sense. I mean, the financial implication is a big thing. But Christina, to be honest, I think an opportunity as a global MBA is worth biting the bullet, or almost want to say, if you need to scale down financially just to get that opportunity and to do it, it's worth it. So even if you have to tone down your level of living and just grab the opportunity with both hands, because it's an amazing opportunity to be able to do the global MBA in Taiwan.
So I take that as an answer to also that it was well worth it, you know. So
Christina, I just want to say well worth it. Sorry, I just want to say well worth it would be an understatement, because I really have the global MBA to thank for everything that I currently have in my life. I know this sounds very philosophical, but everything started for me with the global MBA in Hsinchu in Taiwan. It set me on a complete different trajectory. And as much as I said that I didn't have a clear vision of a career path, I always knew that I wanted a family and I want to be able to provide for a family. And it's all because of the global MBA that is possible today. So I'm extremely thankful for that opportunity.
Just small piece of our memory, because around the graduation, I asked you, Tinus, what are you going to do after graduation? And that time you told me that, Hsinchu, I still love teaching. So I may consider teaching too. And then I thought it's kind of waste after suffering so much for 2 years. So that time I told you that, yeah, but Tinus, you can teach after maybe 60 years old, Why don't you go to business directly? And then you did, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. No, you gave me brilliant advice. And to be honest, the teaching dream is still a dream. So I want to one day when I grow up be a professor like you, hopefully. But like you say, post 60. For now, I'll do a corporate job.
Yeah, you'll be a wonderful teacher, I know.
Let me move to our next questions. During the GMBA program, what skills did you build or enhance that have been the most useful in your career?
The teaching background is, I never knew that I was good at presenting or standing in front of people and doing a presentation. I never knew that. Because I was a teacher, I think I always had the talent, not to be arrogant or anything, but I always had the talent. And then teaching enhanced it. And then when I got to the global MBA, I realized suddenly I have this gift to be able to present in front of people. And it's a critical skill in a corporate or any job, to be able to be comfortable to lead a meeting, to structure a conversation, to capture the essence of why you're getting together. So I really think that the MBA showed me that I am actually good at presenting. And also in terms of teamwork, I realized that I'm good in working in a team and getting people together to work towards a common goal and then achieve that. So I think that answers the question.
Can I follow up with that? Just because that's why I'm here. But I think that makes a lot of sense personally for me, because I had the exact same experience as Tinus with this one. And I now do a lot of presentations in front of a lot of people, and I feel quite calm now, but I certainly did not when I started the GMBA program. But I was interested in knowing, so you pinpoint that this is a critical skill, but also you mentioned a little bit about teamwork with the different cultures. So the different years have different ratio of local students and foreign students. And so I'm not aware, Tinus, when you started, how many foreign students were there compared to local students?
No, great. Sorry to interrupt, but I think in our class, Jinsun, help me if I'm right, but I think there were 20 or 22 local Taiwanese students, and we 20, were 10 or 12. Yeah, 20, and then I think the foreigners were about 12. So that was the ratio but to your point, it's an amazing opportunity to be part of such a global community. And I think you learn a lot about working together as a team and respecting cultural differences and still having the common denominator of you working as a team, as a collective towards a common goal.
Is there anything that you feel that is a necessary skill to make that work?
I strongly believe, and this again sounds very philosophical, but that respect is the key to unlock this and get over it. Because I think if you respect the people around you and you establish that as the rule, then quickly these personality differences fade to the background because you realize that you are here. Look, I always say you don't have to like everybody, but you need to respect everybody. There will be personality clashes. There will be people that you don't like, but you need to be able to work together professionally. And that's all you need to do. You can choose your friends, you can't choose your colleagues. You need to work with them, and respect is the common denominator.
I think that's great advice, actually. It's a good key rule to have that in mind when we meet up together.
It is.
You learn more about yourself because people also aren't afraid, I find, during the GMBA to point out your mistakes and your faults as well. It's really about, I feel that people try to be very, in Taiwan, people are very polite. They will point out your mistake in your face. But when we are all pushing each other and, you know, we have these big reports or we have these collaborations and things are not working out, people will point out your mistakes. I got some feedback that I wasn't too happy about, but I did work with that because I realized that it was true. And it hurt, but I worked through it and I became better of it. So I think that's a key thing you get here because of that cultural pot. Exactly. Like melting pot, right?
Can I add something
That's
to
the
that?
challenge. Yeah.
I just want to add something to that because I think, listen, tell me if it's noisy in the background because, like I said, the kids are in the pool and everywhere. So please tell me if it's noisy.
It's perfect.
But sorry, now I lost my train of thought. Christina, you were about feedback. So one of the questions, and sorry, AJ, I'm not jumping around, but one of the questions that you had was whether I regret something in the MBA that I do or did not do. And I think the one thing, because I try to live life with no regrets. I mean, you learn from everything and everything works for the good. But honestly, if I could go back, I'd give more feedback, Christina. If I had a do-over, and I think this would be my advice, is positive and negative. If something is working well, give the feedback and voice it. If something is not working well, I remember your teamwork assignments, Hsinchu, I think it was for accounting, with in like groups of people and tension and conflict and everybody's stressed. And I should have given more feedback rather than just staying quiet and powering through. I should have said, actually, guys, we're trying to work here together. So I actually don't appreciate you talking to us like that because it's not supposed to be like that. We're working together as a team. So I think if I could give advice to the current students is to look for opportunities to give feedback because that's the power of the MBA. You learn from the negative feedback and you build on the positive feedback. So give it. Don't let the opportunity slide.
Thanks. So we talked so much about your career journey in general and your experience in Taiwan regarding a GMBA and what you have learned there. Let's take a bit of a shift and maybe talk a bit about your current experience, the current industry you're working in, the retail industry. So you already have 10 years of working experience in retail, right? And so I just want to ask you, what would you say is the attractiveness of this industry to young potentials, to young students, maybe also graduates from the GMBA?
Look, I think retail is amazing because I really think I knew nothing about it in the beginning. And I honestly, if I have to summarize it in a sentence, it's the most complex, simple that you can ever see because it's simple in the way that, like we always joke about it, we're saying we're selling groceries, we're selling bread and milk. But the complexity behind it in terms of all the different elements, I promise you, every single subject that you currently have in GMBA is building blocks in retail, every single one of them. So I honestly think that retail is so broad, and the current section where I'm focusing in, look, I was very blessed in terms of having exposure to different business units like supply chain and IT and marketing. But what I've learned in the Global MBA is all the building blocks and understanding how these things fit together. And then once you're in retail, where I now am, and you get as you get exposed to these different business units, you can actually see where you want to go, because there's massive amount of opportunities in retail. Like I said, it's very simple but very complex, and you've got the whole scope of everything. You can be a product manager, a project manager, a program manager, a supply chain analyst, a business analyst, and like, I mean, any skills that you've got, you can apply or plug in somewhere in retail.
Okay.
But here I want to push the button further, Okay, you have a very good personality. You can hang out with everyone easily, anyone, but you kind of had this perception that you are not that strong for like numbers or quantitative, analysis part. But if I look at your previous job titles, then you went to like a software division or supply chain, which is a very quantitative part. So how did you manage to change yourself, to deal with very different types of skills required?
I think it's, again, sorry, I sound like a stuck record, but I say every question is a brilliant question. But Hsinchu, I didn't realize how well you know me. It's unbelievable how well you know and remember me.
Of course, I know you so well.
But no, I can't agree more. I mean, if you would have told me as a young kid or a high school kid that I would one day have a corporate job that requires all these skills that you've just said, I would have laughed. I would have think that you joke about it. But I am so thankful for everything, because I think I realized that I know my shortcomings, but I also know my strengths, and I'm not afraid to ask for help. And I think that is the thing that set me up for success, even in a corporate job, is and to this day, if I don't know, somebody else will know. And I surround myself with the people where I'm lacking. So I know what I'm good at and what I can bring to the table. And for the rest, I can get people around me, and the people report to me to fill that gap. I still won't see myself as an accounting or a statistical expert, but I've got very bright industrial engineers that works in my team that can do that algorithms. So I think, Hsinchu, it's a combination of a belief and just to take the leap to opportunity. So I think I didn't know that I would have the skill to be successful as in a hardcore corporate job, but I was willing to take the leap and to learn, and it turned out great for me.
Tinus, you already before have already described that you think the retail industry is an industry with many potential for young professionals. So now I want to go a bit further. Maybe you can give some insights from your professional experience. What do you think is like the area of the retail industry that maybe has the most potential?
And at the moment, Benjamin, to ask your question, or to answer your question, I think there's massive opportunities in omni-channel in terms of retail, to actually be able to go into a store, or like everything being connected. Like you can either buy it from your app or in the store or online on web, all the different channels to merge into one to have a seamless customer experience. But I really think if there's a big demand currently for project managers, for program managers, but specifically for product managers who can do a little bit of coding and understand solutions. So I think if there are students who's into coding and IT, I think there's the supply for product managers outweighs or the demand for product managers outweighs the supply by far, and you can actually name your price. Don't think that you're going to earn a lot of money as you walk out of the MBA into a job, because everybody needs to start from the bottom. But all I'm saying is, if you aspire to, with the current landscape, to become a product manager, you would have a fantastic career.
Okay, I think that connects also very well to another question that I wanted to ask, because thinking about, you just said, of course, product manager coding is maybe a requirement for many jobs in the future. But what do you think maybe about other soft skills or hard skills that are very important for young professionals to have a successful career in the future. What do you think about skills that maybe were very important for your career to make it successful?
I actually think that the soft skills outweigh the hard skills, because I think something, and this is also something that's made me successful, is people skills and communication skills. Hsinchu alluded to that, and it's something that will set you up for success if you can work with people, if you can respect people, if you can communicate well. That is more important in my mind than the hardcore skills, because there's a lot of things that you can learn in terms of hardcore skills, but to be able to work with people. And I really think the way that things are going, this is going to become more and more important. It has always been important, and I think it'll only become more and more important. So I think, no, sorry, it's a long answer, but I think for soft skills, I would say people skills, communication skills. For hard skills, I'd say it'll apply to the career path that you pursue, whether it's an analyst, whether it's an analytical, but to be able to problem solving, I think to do root cause analysis would be a critical skill, but I'm leaning more towards the soft skill side.
So talking about the skills, like the requirements for candidates, but what do you think about what young people should look for when they are looking for a job? What should they look for in a company, right? That they're happy. What do you think? Maybe you can also give some examples from your experience where you found a really great company, or maybe not that good experience, that you can share and give advice.
Okay, I think this is the last one that I'll say this, but your questions are brilliant. So really well done on prepping excellent questions. But I think if I had to give advice, I would say park everything, make yourself a cup of tea, go sit at a place where you are happy, and think of what you love. Because I really think that what you love and what you are passionate about should feed into your career. You spend a lot of time at work, so it needs to be something that you love. And yes, there needs to be the sweet spot where you actually have the skills as well, but you really need to enjoy it. And in terms of a company, I would say find a company whose values aligns to your values in terms of value set. And I also know that one of the questions that you've asked is, do I prefer to work for a small or a medium or a large company? To me, that's irrelevant. If the values are synced with your values, and if they prioritize work-life balance, and if they prioritize you as a human being, then it's a company worth working for, irrespective of whether they're big or small. So I really think the most important thing is for your values to be aligned to a company's values.
Okay.
But I want to bring back the attention to GMBA a bit more. Your favorite course in GMBA? Your most favorite course in GMBA? Yeah. And second question is, what course or courses in GMBA benefited you the most in your career journey?
Yeah. I think when I saw that question, I actually had to go back to my GMBA transcript to see what all the courses were that I took. No, but actually, when I looked at it, I thought, look, if I have to be honest, the one that I enjoyed most during the GMBA was marketing, because I loved the content, and I really enjoyed the marketing classes, and also to say the creative element of it. In terms of what benefited me most, and you will like this answer, Hsinchu, it is accounting and statistics and information technology. But I'll pull out those three as having benefited me the most in terms of having an understanding of that. But in actual fact, and I know this sounds like a very broad answer, but honestly, each and every, as I've gone through my transcript yesterday, each and every one, and I don't know how the landscape has changed or how the subject have changed now in the past 10 years, but really there's something in every single course that you take that would help you on your career path. And it's all building blocks like even if you don't get an in-depth understanding, because let's be honest, an MBA, as much as it's very hard work and very time consuming, it doesn't go deep into the details, say for example, of accounting or statistics that you do in undergrad, if it's one of your majors. It's a light touch on those subjects, but very important, the whole suite of subjects.
Can I add something onto that? Sure. I would say, is there a skill or a part of the knowledge that you would have liked to have offered that wasn't offered during your time?
No, I saw that question. It was actually difficult for me to get to an answer on that, because I feel that if you want to learn, I actually Googled like skills or things that you would have liked, a whole list of skills that you would have liked that wasn't part of the MBA, and I actually couldn't find something there, because I really think with the, and like I said, I'm not close to how the landscape or the suite of subjects have changed or morphed over the past 10 years. But I honestly think that there's an element of each of the problem solving skills that you need for your career in the course. I believe it will, especially with Hsinchu being at the helm. But I think if I had to say something that was missing, but it actually wasn't missing, it was there. It would be problem solving, to equip people with a pragmatic way of problem solving, to stand back and look at a problem, and then a pragmatic way of thinking of what do I need to do when to actually get to the solution of this. So I'd say that. Now, I just wanted to say, I also think if I could go back and looking at the gap between where I was then and where I am now, is to not confine yourself to what the GMBA offers. And I realize it takes a lot of time and effort and to work through the courses, but to also keep your mind open for what's outside of an MBA. Because I think if I could go back and now knowing how passionate I am about e-commerce and online in the retail industry, I would have loved to do a course on, say, digital marketing or app development or something that might not be part of the GMBA suite, but there's loads of courses online or outside that you can do to build into your skill set to pursue the career path that you want to. You don't need to stick to what you are being offered. There's a lot of personal development or learning opportunities also outside of it. So I think to keep an open mind in terms of what other aspects of what you aspire to do could actually help your career, and to go do that.
So you have to be an initiator, not just an active part of the program, getting your courses done, getting the coursework done, working through that 2-year period, but also open yourself up to say, hey, you know, what can I do? Could I go ask if I could join this, or could I join this project? You know, what's out there for me? I think you have to be an initiator yourself. Otherwise, it's not going to be what you expected.
Anything else you want to add? Like general, you still have like a general one advice you want to give for students?
Oh, no. Try to weave in the advice in my answers. If I had to give advice, I would just like to say, one, realize that you have the opportunity of a lifetime to do a global MBA in Taiwan. And yes, there will be frustrating elements, there will be pressure, there will be all those negative emotions, but it is an unbelievable opportunity. So make the most of it. Learn out of every single interaction that you have. Like I said, give feedback, positive and negative. If it's negative feedback, learn from it. It's not on you. It's somebody who wants to invest in you becoming a better human being and actually adding more value. And I realize it's a lot easier said than done, but it really isn't about you. If there's negative feedback, it's actually about wanting you to be and do better. And look, I still struggle with it, but I really think it's a lifelong journey. But take all feedback, give positive feedback, and I think try as much as you can to find the sweet spot between something that you love and feel passionate about that can actually generate income for you, and also to say fund or sponsor the dream that you have.
So when are you coming back to Taiwan? Are you going to visit Taiwan soon?
I would love to. If only I didn't have 3 kids, because they also need to pay for plane tickets and it becomes very expensive. But no, I would love to come to Taiwan, and I'll definitely let you know when we are heading that way. No, we missed
So I'll be
Taiwan.
looking forward to having your family here. Yeah, soon in the future.
And also, if you or anyone come to South Africa, please let me know. I'll show you around. You guys can come stay over. You are more than welcome to visit South Africa.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
the invitation.
I love to.
So yeah, I want to just round off today. Just for the recording, I think, I want to thank everyone for, joining this opportunity today. I think, yeah, we learned a lot too, how we're going to adapt our interview skills to. So I did pretty well today. I think we can give ourselves a pat on the shoulder. I don't want to be the hero. I think, yeah, it's a great learning experience, and I'm really looking forward to moving through this phase with everyone. And I want to say thank you so much to Tinus for, also giving us, such a great first interview, because it also allows us to see how smooth it can be, even though we, encountered a little bit of a technical issue.
Yeah.
It can be smooth when you have someone as nice as Tinus to join. So I want to say thank you to Tinus. I want to say thank you to everyone for the opportunity, and I look forward to the next episode. So we hope that everyone that has listened today is willing to tune in for next time. If you have any suggestions for topics that you would like to talk about or hear about, or if you want to nominate a alumni as the next guest, you are more than welcome to send an email.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.